Welcome back to the Present and Powerful podcast. My name is Lyndsey Akers and I am your host, and I'm so excited to be with you here today. Today is going to be a solo episode, and honestly, I'm going to pull back the curtain on what Q1 2025 has been like for me, what is working for me, everything that's been happening behind the scenes, but also what I've been navigating as a mom, as a military spouse, as a wife, and just as someone who tries to balance her health and wellness in addition to running one or more businesses. Today, I want to pull back the curtain on Q1, share a little bit more of what's been going on in my world, how I've been balancing all of that as a mom of two. And, I find that so often these things look like a duck gracefully making its way down the surface of the water. It looks very cool, calm, and collected. It's going from point A to point B, and you don't see a lot of frenzy happening. But below the surface, those feet are just a paddling. They are chaotically and quickly and feverishly moving to get things going in the right direction. And maybe that looks a little bit different than what's going on above the surface. That's kind of what my world has been like. And maybe not just in Q1, but certainly for the past like 8 months. And it's been wild and crazy and it's been amazing. And I've been so, so fulfilled. But y'all, I just wrapped up a 2 week spring break with my kids and I have realized how absolutely tired I am. I'm just tired. Been doing a lot in business. If you have children, you know that being a mom in itself, regardless if you stay at home, if you work from home, if you work out of the home, no matter your situation, that is just a deeply taxing role that we all play. And we wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, maybe we would change some of it. But all that to say, for some of us, our life's purpose is to be an incredible mom. But that doesn't diminish the goals and ambitions we have set for ourselves or what fulfills us. It just means we have to balance it. So today, that's what I hope to talk about a little bit more because Q1 of 2025 has been my most successful business quarter ever. And that's something that I'm really proud of. I've been reflecting for the past several weeks, everything that I've been enduring, all the priorities that I've had, all the ambitions and goals and, pipe dreams that I've had in my mind for the past several years. And now they're all happening and they're kind of all happening at once. But that is not without all the chaos happening in my personal life. And as a military spouse, as a mom of two, and as someone who really likes to engage in her community and maintain really strong social connections, balancing all of that is no easy feat. So, on today's episode, I'm going to dive in and tell you what is working, everything that I've been juggling in all categories of my life, what's been working, any balls that have been dropped, and maybe some lessons learned that you can take away as well. But before we dive in, I think it's really important to say that life looks different for all of us. Seasons of life look different for each and every one of us. So, what's happening in my world could be completely different from what's happening in your world. What's happening in someone else's life and business is not going to look the same as what's happening for me or for you or for other of our peers in either the professional space, the online space, or in entrepreneurship. And I think it's just important for us to come into these types of conversations with open minds, eyes wide open, but also with the understanding that, again, every journey is unique. Every scenario is unique. People have different values and preferences and lifestyles, and none of this should be cookie cutter. None of this should be a roadmap for you to follow unless it's one that is aligned with where you want to go. So let's dive in. Like I said, Q1 of 2025 has been my most successful business quarter ever. But what I want to articulate about that is I'm not exactly saying it's my highest revenue quarter. I think I've had higher revenue quarters in past years, but this has truly been such an aligned season for me. The business is here, the work is here, my passions are coming to fruition, and the revenue is coming in. I have clients waiting to work with me. I have people joining programs. I have contracts that I've secured. And also, I'm doing meaningful work that aligns with my life's purpose. And that is how I identify business success: alignment, purpose, and profit. So let's dive into the business side really quick. If you recall, in 2024, I launched the Visibility Accelerator, but that was an exclusive opportunity for military spouse entrepreneurs. That cohort lasted between October and November last year, and then I reinvigorated everything this year to open that up to any online entrepreneur, to any business owner, any personal brand, anyone who is trying to grow their business through PR and visibility. So January 2025, this group coaching program was reinvigorated, revitalized, and had a bit of a different purpose, a different structure. Now, following our pre-sale, we have 6 new members of the Visibility Accelerator. Having a group coaching program has been a bucket list item of mine because I have always wanted to take the expertise, the knowledge, and the success I've had as a PR agency owner, and also my corporate and nonprofit experience as a public relations and communications executive, to bring that in a more accessible way to entrepreneurs who maybe are not ready to hire a PR agency or a marketing agency, but have something accessible for them to pursue and add into their toolbox while receiving expert guidance from me. And candidly, I love coaching. So first order of business was to get the group coaching program relaunched and have new members join the program. Check. The second thing that was really critical for me to do was exactly what you're seeing right now, and that was to launch the podcast. And let me tell you, anyone that has a podcast will tell you that these things, especially video forward podcasts, video-based podcasts, these things are not a passive exercise. They take a lot of time to plan, coordinate, edit, and then disseminate. So when I tell you that this baby is taking up some time, it is taking up some time. But I truly love the interactions that I'm having with people. I love having so much more content that's readily available to share, and really having meaningful conversations with people about how they're doing it all. How are they balancing motherhood with their ambitions as a professional? How are they growing their business through PR and social media and through visibility strategies? How are they doing all these things while leading a fulfilling life? That is what this podcast answers. And hopefully on today's episode, you can see that, like, maybe it's not always so glamorous. I am sitting, crisscross applesauce in my office having a cup of coffee. And I did not really do a whole host of planning for this episode because I want to have these raw conversations about where I am in business, how I'm navigating it, and provide a peek behind the curtain of, like, it's not always seamless, and it's not always easy, and it's not always polished and well planned out. But we're taking steps forward through messy action, and that consistency is going to beat everything else at the end of the day. So January 2025, we launched the podcast. Present and Powerful Podcast, Omnipresence in Leadership and Motherhood. And since that time, we have released a new episode every single week except for last week during spring break. I think ultimately when this episode airs, we will have reached 10 episodes. You guys, 10 episodes. One of my business coaches shared with me that, like, people don't typically make it past the first 3. So we have already, like, tripled that expectation. The interviews that we have had with the people on this show have been incredible. Ashley Brock, Amy Suzanne of Pink Stork, Megan Men's King. We have had some incredible people share their stories. And these are people who believe in the mission of pulling back that curtain, of showing how it's done, and kind of sending the ladder back down to those coming behind us to show them how to navigate motherhood and ambition. Also, next week, I have 2 more guests that I'm recording with, and they are incredible women, moms, and they each have 2 really unique topics that I think so many of you are really going to love. And it is my goal and my hope to record more than 40 podcast episodes in the year of 2025. So that does kind of flesh out to 1 every week until the end of December. One of the biggest priorities I've had this year is to build my personal brand through my own website, lyndseyakers.com, through speaking engagements, through emceeing opportunities, podcast engagements. And those are the things that I've been keenly focused on this quarter as well. And that has been a fairly successful endeavor. In February, I had 2 speaking engagements. One of them was speaking at Melissa Froehlich's retreat here in Destin. Melissa's retreat was for marketers. And so I was able to come to a room of entrepreneurs, marketers, or people who need additional marketing guidance. And my conversation, my topic was centered around being boldly visible through PR and strategic visibility. So that was speaking engagement number 1. The next speaking opportunity that I had in this quarter was to MC the very first ever ever Mill Spouse Summit that was organized by the Air and Space Forces Association, which leads me into another thing that I've had going on the business side of things in 2025. Many of you know that for the past several years, I have volunteered with AFA, which was also a previous employer of mine, to support their spouse and family programming and really champion quality of life initiatives facing military families. And in January, I was invited back as a senior consultant for a 1-year consulting contract to oversee and execute and help implement all of these new initiatives, programs, publications, and events. So, as part of that work, not only did I MC the event, I ultimately worked with our team to plan and organize it, which ultimately was a military spouse summit where we revealed the publication that we had all been working on over the course of the past 4 months, our all military spouse team, and facilitate an in-person live event in Denver. And if you've ever planned an event, you know exactly what those things entails. It is registration sites, guest list, scripts and speaker preparations, social media, graphic design, food and beverage budgets, and all types of other coordination that takes place well before the event, during the event, and after it. But that was an incredibly successful event where we reached our capacity. We had an incredible panel of speakers and panelists, and it was a really great opportunity to connect with people in person, which is not always the luxury we have. So while that work was done in Q1 of 2025, we will continue planning more events, planning more publications, and really growing that programming for the organization. So stay tuned for a whole lot more of that. Somewhat related to that, earlier this year, I was nominated for Military Spouse of the Year as part of the Armed Forces Insurance Organization's annual program. And so that was a really exciting opportunity to be considered among many, many incredible peers of mine who are doing insanely impactful work in our space and in our communities. And I'm really excited to see who wins the overall award here coming up in May. And just to kind of wrap up things that were happening on the business side for me, I mean, there are in my pipeline right now new leads, new client questionnaires that are coming in, a lot of really interested potential clients that are desiring to work with me. And right now we're just figuring out how. Do they need one-on-one? Do they need an agency to step in and do all of this for them? Would they be better served by an intensive that is a 60-minute strategy session or a half-day VIP session where they get a roadmap to walk away with? And so all of these exciting opportunities are coming my way, which will make Q2 an even more exciting wrap up in a couple of months. And just to kind of close things out on the business side, I've made a few more investments into new programs, new communities, finding ways to continue to network and develop professionally, which are always both line items in my budget and certainly things that need to be factored into my overall time capacity, but things that you cannot skip out on. So all of that was happening on the business side between January and March of 2025, but that was not without chaos in my personal life. One of them being my dear, sweet husband, whose active duty Air Force was away on a work assignment for 3 weeks in January in the midst of a launch and in the midst of insane client loads that I was navigating. And if you are a military spouse or you are the spouse of someone who works and travels outside of the home lot, you know the pressure, obligation, and the energy that is required of you as a parent who is juggling it all. And it is intense. So Yale was gone for 3 weeks. And then there were several portions of Q1 where someone had a stomach bug, someone had the flu. And that's without mentioning, your kid having sleepless nights or bad dreams or kind of going through these growth stages that impact their sleep. And they're crawling into bed with mom, or they're saying, Mom, come sleep with me, or I want you to stay in my room. As I mentioned earlier on this call, we also have a 2-week spring break instead of a 1-week spring break based on the schedule of my kids' school. And don't get me wrong, we traveled, we had fun, we made it count, but 2 weeks is a lot. That's a lot to get off your routine. That's a lot of not having time in your office to really focus on your work. And everybody gets a little stir crazy after 2 weeks. And as many of you know, we volunteer every weekend just about for an organization that ultimately trains service dogs to be companions for veterans and first responders. So we have a service dog that we pick up every Friday and then drop off every Sunday. And that is part of our family's volunteer efforts. And hear me when I say that I love just about every second of this. I mean, we have a 1-year-old lab that pretty much goes everywhere with us. He goes to church with us. He goes to Lowe's. Sometimes we'll take him to the grocery store. We go to t-ball practice. I mean, this dog is with us everywhere. And that's kind of the goal of the program, is to expose the dog to the real world. But it is something our family loves to do. And I can't imagine not being a part of this program, but certainly that lends to some of the personal obligations that we have on the weekends at that. Speaking of obligations on the weekend, y'all, we're in the stage of birthday parties. I have 2 kids, and every weekend we have at least one birthday party, just about every weekend, truly. My kids are also in one extracurricular per kid. So we kind of balance between gymnastics and t-ball. But let me tell you, as someone who played high school and college softball, there has been nothing more endearing and meaningful to me than to see my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, get her first t-ball jersey with her name on the back, with my high school softball number on the back of it. It sent me right to tears. But all that to say, our extracurriculars, man, practices twice a week, games on Saturdays. Like, what are we doing? But truly, it is the most precious thing. My husband is coaching my daughter's team, and then watching 3-year-olds run around a t-ball field or a softball field is comical at best. So I've given you a snapshot of what businesses look like. I've given you a snapshot of what our personal life is looking like and has looked like over the course of Q1. What's working? How did I make all of those things balance and harmony? Did I keep my sanity? Yes. What really helped me thrive or survive? What helped me? I have a couple of things that I really attribute this to. If cooking is the bane of your existence, please raise your hand, because same. I really envy the people who love to cook. And I mean love to cook every night. It's not me. It's not me. Cooking is a means to an end. And frankly, we're having tacos and spaghetti just about every week. But for me, especially when Yale was gone, the number one thing that saved my time and my mental bandwidth was ordering a meal service. And for me, that was Factor Meals. And if you're not familiar with that program or the product, basically you order meals that have not been frozen. They're literally ready to eat. You just pop them in the microwave. And you choose, and this even has macro information. Man, it was so great to have the macro information, whether it was carb friendly, protein heavy, carb heavy, or some of the other like keto preferences that other people might have. Factor Meals was incredible because it meant I could step away from my desk for lunch, pop in a meal that I didn't even have to think about, get back to my desk, knock some things out. Same thing for dinner. I want to eat something healthy for dinner, and maybe the kids want spaghetti for the 6th time that week. So it was really awesome not having to think about what I was eating, whether or not it was healthy, and how long it was going to take me. And my gosh, saving time on doing dishes was my sanity saver. Candidly, it's something that I've kept going for the past several weeks just because it was easy. It was easy. And then when Yale got back, we basically shared that meal package. He would get like the heavier meals, the ones that had pasta or like mashed potatoes or something. And it was just easy. The kids still had their healthy meals, but it was something that we didn't have to think about. So I really attribute, especially in that crazy chaotic season where Yale wasn't here, not having to worry about cooking or frankly cleaning up. They came to my door, I popped them in the fridge, and then I put them in the microwave when I was ready to eat. Say less. I'd say regardless of timing or how busy seasons are, nothing saves my life more than my Google Calendar. Yale and I have a shared calendar where we put birthdays and family obligations and things in there where we know that between the two of us, we have to keep track of these things. Of course, I use my calendar for business planning, and that is truly a lifesaver as well. But like anything related to things that I need to be on top of, or meetings that I need to have, or reminders for work or follow-ups, like it goes in my calendar. I would not be able to do what I do if I didn't put it in my Google Calendar. And sure, some people have like hard copy, tangible calendars. I love being able to look at my phone when I'm away from my desk and be able to say like, oh yeah, I'm available for that play date or that birthday party that Saturday, but it's after their t-ball game that happens at da-da-da-da-da. So Google calendars, online calendars, whatever works for you, mapping out your day. And sometimes I use it as a time blocking mechanism to where I say, okay, for the first half of this day, I'm going to work on this client, and then after that I'm going to move to planning this event, and then following that I'm going to join this group coaching call, and then I'm going to have a call with my coach. Calendars save my life. One of the things that I don't think I do as well is sharing the mental load, the maternal burden of that mental load, and not sharing opportunities for my husband to contribute. So one thing that I've done is any birthday we have, I'll say, okay, babe, by this date, I need a gift for this age kid. And the theme of the party is unicorns or dinosaurs or something like that. And off he goes. And I have a birthday gift that is ready to be packaged and taken to this birthday party. And while that is something that's fairly easy to do, and certainly I could do it, having him do something that is in my mind and empower him to do it is so helpful to me. I don't know if you guys have these things in your head that just weigh you down because they're important, but you don't always have time to do them. And for me, that is photo albums, like putting every picture that's on my phone into a tangible hard copy document. Not just for me, but like for my kids when they get older, a legacy document. But those things take so much time for me. And so one of the things that I did whenever Yale was away, he was going to have a lot of time at night whenever he got off of work, whenever he was gone for travel. And so I said, hey, can you add the photos from your phone into the Shutterfly album from 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024? Like, it's a big effort and we're kind of behind on it. But even that small exercise, that small effort of him taking these things and going forward with it, even though I'm not ready to contribute to it, reduced the stress that I have about something that is so super important to me. Now, when Yale is home, he is a 50-50 partner. He is doing dishes, he's doing laundry, he's cleaning floors. But when he's gone, it's a little bit harder. So those small things that allow me to not worry about something made me feel so much better about that really important task. And lastly, one of the things that really has helped me in this particular season of busyness, of chaos, and just managing is to share with my friends and my peers and those in my space and say like, hey, things are going to be really wild for me during this time. I would really love your help with X, or I'm probably going to be MIA for a hot minute. Like really just communicating that expectation or that need, or just bringing awareness to what it is that you're going through up front lets people know where you are. It lets people know if or how they can help. And you also get to share in whatever's going on in their world because they're probably enduring the same thing. Now, inevitably, there are also things that maybe don't get focused on, or balls that are dropped whenever business is crazy, life is chaotic. And I'm willing to peel back the curtain and say, what happened for me? What balls did I drop, or what are the things that really didn't get prioritized during this time? For me, it has been working out. My goodness, I need to figure out how in the world I can get in workouts that are not happening at 8:30 a.m. I have not been to the gym, and you guys, if you have known me for any point in time at all, you know I love being in the gym, particularly CrossFitting or any type of like group exercise. I've not done that in months, and it is driving me crazy. You know, I have a Peloton at home. I have a treadmill. We've got some like free weights here and there, but I cannot figure out how to incorporate my workout into my schedule because I used to be an 8:30 solid, like 3 to 5 times a week girly, and I am struggling to get back on that routine. So my workouts, those were like non-existent this quarter. The other thing that has been dropping on my side of things is content. And that is my own content on social media. This is one of the things that I would really like to delegate. I really need to just have someone batch some content, get it mocked up, ready, and curated for me with the graphics and the reels and a little bit of copy, and then schedule it. I am just so behind and have not found a way to make use of everything that I have because it's such a mental load. Because I know that I can do it, I just have not been able to like give that to someone yet. I would say one other thing that I have not necessarily been as good at this quarter is pouring into myself and having quiet me time. I'm not doing that. I really need to do that and find a way daily, if not weekly, to pour into that. I think I've been fairly social with both my friends and my kids' friends and, you know, being there for other people, but I've not been that for myself. And there are a lot of times where we just need to stop and slow down and like break away from the chaos and just do something for ourselves, not for our business, not for our kids, not for our husband, not for our friends, for us. And that for me definitely fell by the wayside. So, what are some of the lessons learned that I have as I reflect back on this very incredible, exciting, fulfilling quarter? I'll share it with you. Y'all, delegate. We gotta delegate more. I need to delegate more. I'm doing a better job of it right now, but I am going to be hiring people to fill the needs in my business, to move things forward, or at least to take projects that I really don't need to focus on. Social media, outsource. Please don't be afraid to outsource. I would have been a crazy person if I had to cook and do dishes every single night for 3 weeks while my husband was gone. Of course, I still did it. At least having the prepared meals ready to go for me, such a lifesaver. Outsourcing food or weekly or monthly house cleanings, or honestly, I've seen where some people like hire someone to come do their laundry for a short period of time just so that task doesn't take up more of their time, really saves both time and mental energy and a little bit of sanity too. Being in a constant state of evaluating with the intent to pivot based on what's not working is critical in both your personal and your professional life. Looking critically at what's working, what's not, how are you feeling? How is that draining you? How is it filling you up? What do you need to reflect on and then pivot moving forward in order to simplify, reduce stress, increase impact, increase revenue, increase fulfillment? How can we be more reflective with the intent to make changes for positive outcomes? The final lesson that I will leave you with, regardless of what it is that you're going through, is to soak up the small moments. We get one chance at life. We get one chance to have our kids at the ages that they're out now. They're never going to be any younger. Taking the moments to take them to t-ball practice, to set up play dates, to plan movie night, to have a bonfire on the patio, doing your daughter's hair and makeup in ways that might be different from the Monday through Friday schedule. But also outside of your kids, the small moments with your people, with your husband, with your friends, with your wife. Don't let the busyness of life get in the way of the small moments that matter. Like I said, the moment that I saw my daughter wearing my jersey number for T-ball wrecked me in the best of ways. And I cannot wait to watch her on the ball field or whatever is important to her. But that small moment is one that I would never want to miss. And with that, I hope in whatever season that you are in, you are navigating it to the best of your ability. You have a support system around you. You're being reflective about what's working and what's not, and what's best serving you and your family in this time of both growth and reflection. Thanks so much for joining me for this solo episode. I look forward to getting back to our guest episodes in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, if there are any topics that you want to talk about, or if there's someone who you think would be an incredible guest on this podcast, shoot me an email or send me a DM. I'll see you next week. Bye, you guys.